Hello! In today's video, we're going to be working on a high G solo ukulele arrangement of the Gael by Dougie MacLean. This was actually voted on over at my Patreon page, where every month I do a different tutorial based on suggestions and votes of my patrons. And I think this one won this month because it's this awesome, high-energy Celtic melody that, well, sounds pretty awesome on the ukulele. They were right in terms of how it would come out. So if you've been looking to add some awesome Celtic sounding music to your repertoire, or maybe you're just looking for some awesome pull-off exercises, you're in the right place with this tune. Let's go ahead and dive in with the first part. We're going to look at the first 4 bars here. It looks something like this. Pretty straightforward. It's not going to use the frantic stuff yet. We're going to start by just playing an A minor chord. Take your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G string. Then I like to use my thumb here for this little squiggly line, strum through all 4 strings. And then using my index and middle fingers on my playing hand, I'm going to pluck my E and A strings 3 times. And then I do this whole thing again for measure 2. Going into the 3rd measure here, I'm going to play a G chord. I'm using the air quotes there because we take our index finger, place it here on the 2nd fret of the C string, ring finger here on the 3rd fret of the E string, but we leave our middle finger off of the A. So it's technically a G sus2 chord, and it sounds like this when you strum through with the thumb. Play the C and E 3 times. I like to still use my index and middle fingers, just moving them up there. And I do that again. So these 4 measures should sound something like this. Again, this is just the intro, sort of setting the stage with some texture. We go on to the next 4 measures, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We're going to play a C chord. Just move that ring finger down to the 3rd fret of the A string, strum through all 4 strings. Pluck the C and E same way as before. 3 times, just like the others. Then we play a G chord, just as we did before, the G sus2, so no middle finger there on the A string. Doing the same thing of plucking the C and E strings together. And finally, we go to measures 7, 8, which are the same as 1 and 2, that A minor chord, twice. There's a little bit of a difference here. You'll notice that there's this symbol written underneath the 2 A minor chords. This is what we call a crescendo, and it means to get louder because we're going to set up this awesome, fast, sort of frantic picking section. So when you're playing 7 and 8, get louder as you play it. So measures 5, 6, 7, and 8 should sound something like this together. And now we're ready for the fun stuff. Going on to measure 9 and 10, we're going to be using a lot of pull-off techniques. Now, just so that you can hear it, measures 9 and 10 should sound something like this. This is one of my favorite things like ever to play on the ukulele. It is so much fun, but it does require quite a bit of technique with the pull-offs. And this can also affect how you sort of hold the ukulele. I just did a tutorial on this technique with this measure as sort of the example, the little project to work on with it. So if you haven't checked it out already, please check it out. It's linked down below and should be up here on the screen. But when you have that technique comfortable, you should know how to play measure 9 from it, which again is going to be open on the E and A, then open on the A, ring finger here on the 3rd fret of the A string. As that ring finger is there, you're going to add the middle finger on 2 of the A as well, and you're going to pull off from 3 to 2, and then you're going to pull off from 2 to 0. Remember from the video, pull-offs are an actual plucking of the string, and it can help to kind of brace your ukulele in that knuckle joint there. Again, these are concepts covered in that other video I mentioned. But we're going to be playing the 3, pull off to 2, pull off to 0. That's sort of halfway through the measure. The other half of that measure on 9 is 2 on the A, pluck that, pull off to open on the A string. And this is why it's a high G arrangement. Play open on the G, then open A, open G, and open E. And that finishes measure 9. Going into measure 10, it's the exact same thing as measure 9. Exactly the same, it just cuts out the last two notes. It just sits on the open A string instead of playing two more open strings. What's awesome about this is you only fret 3 and 2 on the A string, and you fret them a grand total of 6 times, despite how many notes there are here. So when you get this moving, it is awesome, but it does take practice with those pull-off techniques to get comfortable. If you're playing on a low G, you can play 3 on the E instead. Every time you see the open G. But that's what measures 9 and 10 sound like. Honestly, if these are the only two measures you work on with the whole tune, you're gonna have a good time. Oops. They just sound awesome. It's easy to miss fret when you're doing the pull-offs. Quick little tip is always try to set both fingers at the same time when you're starting it off. But now that we've heard 9 and 10, let's go to 11 and 12. These are a little bit more tricky. Measure 11 and 12 is going to start with the G chord. The way we're going to play this is with our index finger barred across the second fret on the C, E, and A, and then the middle finger here on the third fret of the E string. Now, earlier with the first part, I told you to kind of brace it with this knuckle joint here for these pull-offs with the open strings. On this one, we're going to have the thumb squared behind, similar to if we were doing a bar chord, because it kind of is a bar chord, right? It's barred across the second fret there, except for the G string. And I'm going to be holding it like this for measures 11 and 12. So I'm going to be more this, 9 and 10 were more this. So when we're playing this, we're going to then pluck our C and E together with our index and thumbs. And then we're going to play 2 on the C, 2 on the A, which is already there. Open on the G with the thumb, 2 on the A. 5 on the A with the pinky, pull off to 2 on the A. Again, plucking the string as we do that. Open on the G, 2 on the A, 3 on the E, 2 on the C. So what you'll notice about that is it's still using the 3-finger picking. It's using some pull-offs, only 1 in this case, and the thumb gets a lot more involved with this because it's going to be playing that C string and G string. So 11. Then 12 is almost the same, but the only difference is it goes back up to 5. The very last note of 12 goes to the 5 on the A and holds it there. So measures 11 and 12 together should sound something like this. These are a little bit more tricky, but again, they also sound absolutely awesome. Moving on to measure 13 and 14 here. We're going to start with a C chord, just all open. Play the C and E together with your thumb and index. Thumb on the G. 3 on the A, you can use your ring finger here or your middle or your index. It really doesn't matter. You're going to do a pull off to open on the A. Open on the G. Move up to 5 on the A. I like to use my ring finger here as I'm moving up. Open, pull off. Open G, and then 7 on the A. I like to use, again, my ring finger here just for comfort. So measure 13. And then measure 14 goes back to that G chord that we played a moment ago where you bar across. But after you play the C and E together, and then the open G, you're then going to play 5 on the A, and you're going to need to have your ukulele sort of drop to this position because we're going to be using open strings. So we want to brace it with that knuckle joint. And we're going to play 5 on the A with the pinky, pull off to 3 on the A with the middle finger here, and then we're going to play 2 on the A with a pull off from the middle to the index, and then we're going to play 3 again, moving the middle finger back on, pull off to 2, pull off to 0, play 2 with the index here, pull off to 0, and pull off to G. Or rather, just play the G. It sounds like a pull-off almost because of those notes. Confusing measure, right? Well, all that it is, if we look at it starting with the 5, where it goes 5, 3, 2, 3, 2, 0, 2, 0, 0, is... Doesn't that sound cool? And the whole measure 14 is... And the two measures together now, 13 and 14, are... really fun. From here, we go on to measures 15 and 16, and 15 and 16 are exactly the same as 9 and 10, except for the very last note. Other than that, they're exactly the same. So it sounds like this. The only difference there is that last note is open on the E string, when on measure 10, we played open on the A. Otherwise, it's exactly the same. So that same awesome riff that sounds so cool playing it through. Again, if this is all you play, you're gonna have a good time. You can speed it up. It's just awesome. But from this point, it actually repeats. And we go back to measure 9 with this. So it plays 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, where we are right now. Repeats and plays 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 again. And then after we've played 16 the second time, we go on now to measure 17. And what's cool is measure 17, it's exactly the same as measures 15 and measure 9 was. It's the exactly identical. And then it goes on to measure 18 here. And 18 is just a little bit different. We're going to start off the same way. So that starts off almost identical, but then at the end here, we're going to do a harmonic hit on 12 on the E and A to finish it. So 18 has this quick movement, moving up to the harmonic. Now to do the harmonic, the big trick with it is to make sure that you're not actually fretting the notes, but you're just lightly touching them on the fret wire itself. So if you look here, there's my fret wire on 12. I'm not fretting in between. I'm going right up to the fret wire and I'm not compressing. I'm just very lightly touching the fretboard, or the strings rather, not the fretboard, just touching the strings above the fretboard. And then when I pluck with my playing hand here, as soon as I feel these strings start to vibrate, I take the finger away. I don't do it before. If you try and do it before, you're going to miss. Let those notes start to ring, and then take the finger away. If you need more help with that technique, I've got a video linked down below you can check out. But the hardest part about this is going from that pull off to the harmonic. So a quick tip. So when you're playing measure 18, when I do that pull off 2 to 0, I'm going to move my hand up as I play the open G so that I'm ready for the harmonic. Measure 17 and 18 should sound something like this. Right? Tough to get that really clear. But practice really pays off with it. I'm going to bring the camera back up to me. There you have it. There's the Gael, this kind of brief arrangement, but it's really fun to loop. And that intro part of just kind of the chords, it's fun to play with. So mix it around, match it, different ways and see what you can do with it. Also that A minor part of really rewards playing it fast. So give it a go, see how it goes. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. If you'd like to download the tab that you've seen on screen, please check out my Patreon page. And if you're a patron, thank you so much for the support. Thank you for helping decide on this awesome, fun tune. I can't wait to see what you decide for next month's tutorial, and I'll see you then. Thanks so much.